What's up, everybody? It's Nick here, and today we're going to take a look at 3 of my ideas to improve Novus. So welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know that there are spoilers on the screen ahead. This is the final boss of Novus, so just be aware of that if you haven't gotten to that point yet. So Novus has nearly been out for 5 months at this point, so after completing Novus and farming for Aeon gear on my myth, I feel there are some much needed improvements to the gear system that need to be discussed. Compared to Merciless gear, Aeon gear is significantly harder to obtain. There are 2 sets within the realm of Novus to look out for from drop bosses: the Masterpiece set and the Aeon set. While Aeon gear is crafted from multiple Masterpiece components, it seems that I tend to get more Aeon gear in my runs of the main bosses. Additionally, your wizard can get each of the 7 schools sets as drops from the bosses. While this works for players with a lot of max wizards, it leaves more casual players with only 1 max in the dust. While the gear is craftable, it's much more work than the likes of Dragoon or Merciless gear. 9 Masterpiece items, 9, are of the same type of equipment are required to craft a piece of Aeon gear. Furthermore, the 2 reagents needed to craft Aeon gear are pixels and polygons. Pixels are dropped by many bosses around Novus, however polygons can best be located in Kathmandu. If you want to know my best take on the fastest way to get gear on in this part of the game, I would just say first try to get the Aeon gear from drops. Then, once you have enough Masterpiece equipment, just craft it if you don't have the Aeon piece you want yet. If you want the Eternal gear set crafted from the Aeon gear, you'll probably have to put in a little more work, but I would just say that the Aeon set is objectively better for damage and pierce if that's what you're after. Depending on your situation, you can also just mix and match the gear sets. So I know a lot of people who mix Aeon with the Ascended gear, so you could just do that. As always, please leave your ideas for improvements on Novus down below, and without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so number 1, summarizing overtime effects into 1 animation. So, upon reaching the higher levels, overtime spells become a common occurrence as more and more spells are added to each enemy's repertoire. This results in lengthy fights due to animation time. To cut down on this wasted time, I'm proposing a more summarized effect that shows the net loss or gain of HP from overtime spells. So I've personally encountered this a lot in my playthrough, but just like 1 playthrough of the game, you can see, you can sometimes have up to like 8, overtime effects on a character, and that could be a lot of animation time. And I'm thinking to cut down on this, it'd just be better if each wizard still had the same number of overtimes surrounding them, but the animation would only play once, so it's just going to show the total HP lost or gained. This is just a kind of like straightforward idea that I feel like would really help some of the boss fight times in the game, especially the last boss fight where you see, a lot of overtimes casted, like overtime heals and a lot of overtime fire spells. Okay, so number 2 might be a more controversial option. I've actually asked a lot of players in the game recently about this, and people seem to have a lot of mixed opinions. But this would be maybe the ability to trade gear. So this could possibly only be for select gear that has like intense farming, so maybe like Dragoon gear or the Waterworks gear or something like that. So another option to make this grind a little more bearable is the ability to trade gear. This would allow players to trade select gear to other players that is farmed and is of equal value. So, for example, if you have a Masterpiece set, you can't just trade for an Aeon set. You'd have to trade Aeon for Aeon or Masterpiece for Masterpiece. So, or sorry, I guess it would be Ascended for Ascended if that's what you're trying to do. But I think this would really help just cut down on a lot of the time spent farming, because Kingsaw has sort of showed that they aren't willing to cut it down to you only have the chance of getting your own school. And while I do think this is a good idea, I don't think they'll ever implement it, so I'm proposing an alternative. So possibly maybe you could trade that gear instead of just getting your set of gear. You can get everybody's set, but you can trade it to other players. Now this is going to prevent friends of the player from just gifting the set upon reaching the required level because they have to trade something of equal value. So I guess King's Out could decide what that is, but that's number 2 for you. Okay, so for my last idea for this video was possibly making double gear weekends. And this wouldn't be just 2 times the gear, it would be 2 times the chance to get the rarer gear. So for example, instead of, maybe for Masterpiece gear, because it's required to craft the Aeon sets, it could be 2 times the amount. But for Aeon gear, it should be 2 times the chance to get that gear that you want, right? So I'd say, I feel like you could also, on the other hand, do a double jewel / pin weekend. So pins and jewels could probably be 2 times the amount because just the nature of them, you're going to use a lot more pins now, at least with this new update in Novus. So I would definitely say this would make members feel like they're not wasting their money on a monthly membership to farm for a lot of this unattainable gear, it feels like. Because I feel like if it takes, a month to get the gear in the first place, it's just not, it's not worth spending my entire membership worth to get, the new gear. I just, maybe I want to continue a story on a different character or something like that. It's not really fair. So I definitely like to know your thoughts down below, but yeah, let me know. So it looks like that concludes today's video. I really think King's Out could use a few of these changes to really improve Novus. While I love the artwork and design of the world, endgame farming is too much for the casual player. To be more inclusive, these ideas would really help cut down on the length of the boss fights, as well as the likelihood of receiving the desired gear. This would promote a more rewarding experience for players, keeping more players online. If you enjoyed this video or disagree with anything I said, please feel free to leave a comment down below. Like and subscribe for more content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.